rooted in community and built for you. This is the U plus TFCU podcast.
Welcome to the U plus TFCU podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Israel.
And I am Andrew. Today we're talking about something that should be relevant to just about everybody, becoming a homeowner, and specifically talking about where do we start and getting some behind-the-scenes information from an expert in this. Becca, welcome.
Thank you.
You want to introduce yourself to everybody?
I am Becca Harjo. I am a mortgage originator here at Tinker, located at Midwest City location currently.
Awesome. Becca, how long have you been with Tinker?
I have been here almost 3 years now.
So you joined like right when I did.
Probably.
Sounds 2022.
Like.
Yeah.
Yes, 2022.
So Becca and I actually work in the same building, different purposes, different sides of the building, but we are in the same building over in Midwest City. Becca, can you tell us a little bit about what a loan originator is? That's not a term that I use in my day-to-day job.
Most people refer to it as just a mortgage loan officer, basically helping the customer with home buying process, construction, land purchase, walking them through application, documents needed, just getting them from start to finish, basically, for purchasing land or home or building.
So like the worst part of the entire process, you were there to basically walk everyone
Yes.
through. And I don't want to make that sound like any part of your job is terrible. But that's the part that I hate the most, is filling out paperwork and trying to find years worth of documents that I have no idea what or where they are. So this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about that kind of for first-time home buyers, but I think it's relevant for anybody who is looking to buy a home, and I don't think we would turn away anybody looking to buy a home. Walking through the process, talking about what that looks like and preparing for that purchase. So you've been doing this for 3 years. What did you do prior to joining Tinker?
I worked at another financial institution. I've been probably in lending for over 15 years.
Oh, awesome.
Very nice.
Mortgage kind of has been my favorite along the way. So I've done a little bit of consumer, commercial, real estate, a little bit of everything, but real estate's my
What do you like
go-to.
about this that's different from everything else?
I think it's just the overall process. Every single file is different. Every single member is different. Kind of the whole process, you know, everybody has their own glitch or niche that you need to kind of fill in there. No one works at the same place. No one has the same asset background, credit background. So it's unique every single time to get to the end.
I'm going to steal the phrase, everyone has their own glitch, because that is probably the most apt way of describing me in general. I love that. Thank you for that. Wonderful. So this is something that I'm excited about, and we've got a slew of questions to help probably guide people a little bit more succinctly and accurately through the process on this. But like one of my favorite things to do, I don't know why, I love looking on Zillow. Like, I just want to know what's out there. I want to know how other people live. I want to see the weird home designs that are out there. I want to understand, like, what does the market kind of look like? Not that like I like need anything at the moment, but I'm sure there's gonna be a point in time where I'm gonna want something else. What type of people do you typically have coming into the office that you're working with?
First-time home buyers, veterans, those who own land looking to build, those wanting to buy land to build in the future. Recently, we've even had a lot of refinances, which is different because rates are higher than, you know, a few years back. But a lot of people are looking at debt consolidation or vacation or kids getting married. So all that equity in the house is definitely being used right now for those
awesome.
Purposes. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, going back to the Zillow example, like, hey, I'm saving some listings. I was going to buy that, you know, but no, I mean, I definitely, you know, compare myself with Andrew there. I'm looking, and I think if we put ourselves in first-time buyers' situation or shoes, right, we might think that's probably the first step, and that's not necessarily like a bad step, right? But just looking to see what's out there, getting started, right? This is probably one of the biggest financial decisions people make, right? So of course, anxiety comes in, fear comes in. Especially if you don't have any guidance, right? So getting started with the process for sure. needs professionals like you, right, with the experience and with the know-how, right? So getting started, right? Can you tell the listeners how do you know whenever you're ready to buy a home? Because again, we can look at Zillow, we can look at other avenues and listings, but how do we really know? Like everybody's different, but how do I know? How would Andrew know?
So a lot of the first-time homebuyers that are coming in either are renting and rent has soared, so they're like, let me put that money into something I can own. They get to that point. A lot of people are in a lease. Lease agreement is coming to an end, so they think they're ready for that step. Marriage is a big deal for younger kids, as well as I just finished college, I'm ready.
Right.
Those are kind of the main things that we see along the way is I think I'm ready. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I know we hear a lot about like, hey, you need to have 20% down or you need to do this, or my parents told me this, or my grandparents did this. So I think that's very good because everyone is different, right?
Yes.
And everybody needs to know their why.
Yes.
Would you agree, Andrew?
Yeah, I do. And I think my why usually starts with seeing something that I really like, and then I kind of back into that, which is a really unprofessional, manic, and but probably popular way of doing it, if we're being honest with it. I agree with that. I think the thing that really made me want to get off the fence is the equity side of it. I was paying, especially living in Maryland, like rent rates there are, they were through the roof whenever my wife and I were living out there. And I think that was really like our biggest motivator. It's like, I'm just giving somebody else this money. I'd rather go to something else. Aside from the house of the price of the house, what are some costs that people need to consider when they're looking at buying a home?
When looking at a home, I know a lot of the time they do look on Zillow. Typically, those payments that are estimated on there do not include those extra expenses.
Okay, yeah.
So when they come to my office, they're like, wait a minute, that's $300-$400 more than Zillow said. But you have to consider property taxes and then also homeowner's insurance. Those are the top two expenses that have to be included in that monthly payment. Also, depending on location of the home, you're going to have homeowners association,
Right.
Are you buying somewhere that has that association in place? What are your dues going to be for that area?
Yeah, that's a real bummer. And I was probably an assumption, but I think myself included with this is that people tend to say like, what can I afford each month and work backwards from there. And then if you go to the table thinking you found everything, it probably feels a little weird to say, all right, I've got this all figured out. And then you find out from working with the professional in the field, like, oh yeah, I've overshot this by $500 a month.
Yep.
That would be very frustrating.
Part of that, right? Because again, we're thinking like, okay, this is what I want. I want 2-car garage. I want this. I want that, right? But can you tell us something about pre-approvals, right? Why is a pre-approval important for buyers?
So here we do pre-qualifications and then we also do pre-approvals. Kind of the difference in that, pre-qualification is just based on verbal information that you provided, everything looks good. Pre-approval is actually we verified your documents.
Okay.
Right now, since the housing market has changed so much in the last couple years, most realtors want that paper to show that you've already been to the bank. Right. Everybody's looked at your stuff and you are good to go. So we will gather documents, get them that letter. That way they can go look at houses. Right. If they find something, they sign that contract and then we kind of move forward from there. But that paper is kind of their guarantee that they've talked to someone in lending and have, confirmation that they're going to be able to go forward.
I think that's a step that I missed initially. I think whenever I first jumped into buying my first home, it was who can help me with this? And it started with a real estate agent, which I was actually noticing on the way in this morning. And I think it was just timing for this, but I saw so many billboards for real estate agents. There's like a big electronic one on an unnamed highway I passed on the way in, and it was just name of the company and then it was a lot of forehead in a suit for somebody that was up there advertising what they do. But, I've never struggled to find somebody to talk to in that regard. And that seems kind of like the easier part of the process. But I didn't actually work with anybody like yourself whenever I bought my first home. And I'm curious now that I'm saying this out loud, like how much money did I leave on the table because of that? That's horrific. Don't tell my wife. So I'm a veteran. When I went through this last time, I was able to get a VA home loan, but that was the first time I even heard that there were different home loan options. Can you talk a little bit about what different mortgage loans are available for individuals?
So right now at Tinker, we have VA, and then we also have conventional financing. We do have other products that are coming soon, just not here just quite yet. VA does allow up to 100% financing of the purchase price, which is great for veterans. We're able to help them pull certificate of eligibility and a few other documents through VA for that qualification. The veteran still would be responsible for closing costs, which their seller can pay. So sometimes nothing out of pocket at all for the veteran. Conventional financing, first-time home buyer. First-time home buyer means no home ownership in the last 3 years.
Okay.
So in that situation, 3% of the purchase price is the minimum down payment for a true first-time home buyer. If they've owned a home prior, then 5% is the minimum down payment for the conventional program.
Right. And that's the goal, right? To make this intimidating process less intimidating and achievable, right? For sure. Can you speak to us about, we go into something, whatever it is, in this case, we're going into first-time home buying, right? Again, it's a scary process, right? Of course, we want to be diligent and I checked off this surprise or this surprise, but can you talk to us about avoiding surprises? Like, what are some misconceptions out there or people that think that this might happen but actually don't?
Home inspection is a big deal. It's not required at most places, but definitely recommended. A home inspector will go in and look at things that others will not. Is the electric up to date? How's the attic look? How's the look under the house? Those things are caught by home inspection.
Gotcha.
A lot of the time there's repairs there. That's probably the biggest hindrance or biggest case that busts the contract. Repairs come up that weren't noticed or that seller buyer can't agree on, and it just busts out. Termites, another big deal.
The little creatures hide everywhere, right?
Termite inspection is required on every purchase transaction we do. VA requires it on every transaction.
Okay.
So home inspections are not required. Termite inspections are
required. Yes.
Interesting. So are termites, is that a market thing? Is that like in Oklahoma termites are just that big of a problem?
I'm honestly not sure on that. I know VA, they require it and we have to go by their guidelines. I'm not sure if it's a Tinker policy or Oklahoma. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, I would always err on the side of I'm the outsider here at the table since you have operations experience and you're on the mortgage side. I'm the facilities person here at Tinker. So I'm always going to err on the side of let's get a pro out here to take a look at this and tell me what I'm looking at. With my home in Maryland, I don't think it's as prevalent in Oklahoma, but radon was a big situation in the area where I was at. And we had to get it remediated, and we had to get certain systems installed to help pull that out of the basement that we had. No termites though, which was that was
always a
good
plus,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
So you're saying for new homeowners, it's a great way to maybe not necessarily just get the loan across the finish line, but also to make sure that they don't walk into a situation that they're frustrated with for years
Exactly.
to come.
Disaster right after you close is never what we want, ever. We've had a situation where the termite treatment was done, house closed, and a month later I got a call saying, we were remodeling this bathroom and the whole entire wall is filled with termites.
Yeah.
So it became a nightmare for first-time home buyers. We don't want that. Obviously, we did what we were supposed to do along the way with the inspection and everything. It's just... it happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to protect people.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, we don't want those unwanted guests, right, or roommates, right? One thing that I'm thinking about, right? Of course, we get caught up in the paperwork and closing and all of this, but one thing that I can think of is I didn't do when I first bought my home is I didn't drive through the neighborhood, right? I didn't see, my neighbors, how are they? What's the traffic look like, right? What's the crime look like? What's in store for the future in the next 5 years? Are they building more restaurants? are my property taxes going to go up? Things like that, right? So when we talk about avoiding surprises, that's what comes to mind. But those are the things that, again, we kind of don't think about because we're too focused on, I need to just close and I just want to be a homeowner, right? What would you say on that?
I would agree on a lot of that. We've had several customers who came in who own a home, and neighborhoods grown around them, shopping centers have come in, and they want to move now. That's not what they signed up for when they got there. They don't want to sit in traffic that long, and so they're looking to move to the quieter. Obviously, some of that can't be avoided right now. I know like Choctaw area is huge right now with growing, developing. People are wanting to be in that area. So when people come in and they're like, I'm looking for rural, quiet, it's like, well, that's one of the areas growing. You need to consider that if that is not what you're looking at. Always have to consider what's coming or what you can kind of see coming in some of those situations.
So kind of in that same vein of avoiding surprises, like you're interacting with people from all different strata and ages that are going through this process. Do you have some like general advice that you give to people regardless of that? Like how do you make this easy for them? How do you avoid some of the pitfalls that we've talked about?
Right.
What's your common advice for new buyers? Let's say that. New buyers first.
Probably one of the top questions that I ask at application as far as first-time home buying is, what's a monthly payment you're comfortable with? Not necessarily what you qualify for. What are you comfortable making? Just because you qualify for $2,000 a month doesn't mean you're comfortable making that.
Right.
It's a huge deal for first-time home buyer. You're going from paying rent to ownership. Likely the payment's going to be higher. Taxes, insurance, you're going to have repairs. You have to take care of yourself now.
Right.
No
if something happens,
You got to mow that lawn.
mow the lawn.
Yeah.
You got to do the treatments, all of that. So not necessarily what you qualify for, but what are you comfortable making on the monthly payment? Probably one of the top things that I suggest to any first-time home buyer when they come in. Want the comfort level before what's going to max you out, basically.
Right.
So like kind of in that same vein, like what would your advice be for, I don't know, family of four in Edmond? The spouse tried to deter any conversations about actually moving, and I swear this is not about my personal living situation. What about people who are currently in a home, and they've got flexibility. They want to move and they want to do something different, and they want to go somewhere else. Like, how would you approach them versus a new home buyer?
So in that situation, we do a lot of what we call a same-day close.
Okay.
Where people are buying and selling on the same exact day.
Yeah.
You're closing on the sale in the morning. You're closing on the buy in the afternoon.
Busy day.
It's a terrible day.
Yes.
You got movers kind of waiting to do their thing.
Movers, a lot of time you got storage involved.
Yeah.
You're trying to coordinate with 2 different companies for closing. Very hectic.
Yeah.
We do it all the time, though.
Yeah.
It happens. It works. It's a little more hectic for the borrower in that situation. But a lot of the time in that, the proceeds from the one they're selling go straight to the one they're buying. So we're not dealing with having to move money around for down payment.
Okay.
So that works. We're not having to hit them for that other mortgage payment because it's going to be gone the same day. So it can be an easy process, but a little more hectic as far as the moving.
What are some ways that they can make that easier? Because the last time I did this, I was in a really good position to where I had a place to actually stay, so I could sell my home, and then I had a place to stay and wait. But I know that's not the case for everybody. Are there ways to make that smoother?
I think just communication in general.
Okay.
Buyer, seller, between both properties.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of cases where, buyer or seller was able to coordinate with the other party and say, hey, can I have 3 extra days? Or storage facilities are a big deal now where you can just get a pod and pack up and stay in that overnight, basically, until you get closed, and then they'll move the pod to the new house. But I think just communication, coordination as far as where to put your stuff in that process has been a big deal, and it's more frequent now. So, it's the norm on a lot of cases.
For sure.
Yeah.
Kind of speaking on the other side of the spectrum here, what would you say to someone that says home buying for me is impossible? Saving money, my credit score's not there. By the way, part of the question, does TFCU have a minimum credit score that you need to have for a first-time home buyer? But what would you say to that person that says, look, it's impossible for me? Like, I get what you're saying, but what advice could you give that person, or what encouragement would you give that person?
First, I would probably ask why. Why do you feel that way? What do you think's on your credit that's preventing it? Why do you think you wouldn't have the down payment? I mean, there is down payment assistance programs that we work with regularly that can help with the down payment portion.
Got it.
As far as credit, though, we would just have to see, why do you feel that way? What's on your credit that makes you think that? There's credit building programs, loans all over the place that we can help you get into to get started on that. I've had several I know that a year ago I started with them and finally just now getting to do something with them because they followed kind of that guidance we helped them with. Opening that new account just to build credit, opening that credit card just to build credit, paying off delinquent things that they didn't know were on credit, those kind of things. But there's a plan.
Yeah, for sure.
You just have to see the whole picture and kind of see what you need to do to help them get there.
So Becca, I know we've talked about a lot of details, and of course, we're restricted by time, but can you tell us one key takeaway that you can give for our viewers?
Help is available. We want to help you. We are happy to evaluate, any questions, credit history, any concerns. Like, we want to help you. There's avenues that we can help you get to get you there. Everyone deserves a chance to be first-time home buyer at some point. Just got to get through obstacles and hindrances, but just communicate. Let us know. Let us help you. Definitely want to.
Awesome.
So with that said, anyone listening, what would you tell them about how to get started on the process?
So several options that we have available. We do in-person appointments. We do phone appointments. If they think they're just ready to go ahead and apply and do full application, they can even complete that online. There is offices in Midwest City and also Oklahoma City for appointments. If you like the face-to-face, you can definitely make an appointment with us at any time.
And can members select a specific branch, or do they have to close at like Midwest City or?
So appointments are only at Midwest City and Oklahoma City. They do have the option to choose either of those locations right now. If they need to meet somewhere else, we can definitely make that happen too and accommodate. They just would have to call and let us know, hey, I'm in Edmond. I'm not familiar with Midwest City. Would you be willing to meet me there? And we can do that. That's not a problem at all.
Awesome.
It's wonderful. Thank you for that. I had kind of like a tangential question on this one. It's something that I know you faced and have this conversation regularly, and it's about the current market environment. And without getting specific into any given rates at all, clearly we're in a different environment than what it was during COVID or pre-COVID. What are you saying to people who come in here and say, like, hey, look, I need to move, or I want to move, but I'm going to lose this great rate that I've got now. What does that conversation look like with these folks? Because I know it's happening regularly.
It is. Most of the time, the top question is, how quick can I refinance?
Okay.
Yeah. Is it an option after I buy? How long do I have to wait? In some cases where they're selling a different home after they're buying the new one, can I pay down and lower my monthly payment? So we can help with all of that. Once you buy the house, you do have a waiting period, normally 6 to 12 months, kind of depending.
All
but
right.
once you have ownership, if rates go down, which everyone would be thankful for, definitely have the option to refinance to get that lower rate. Same thing on selling your current house. If you have a large amount of money you want to pay down on that loan, you can. We call it a recast option here. You're allowed to basically pay down one huge chunk of money on that principal, and then we re-amortize your payments for the lower amount.
Okay. I did not know that. That's really cool.
A lot of people do it, because they don't want to do the same day close.
And can you also assist with refinancing if that comes up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
all these details kind of make me, man, I wish I can rewind and go back, my first time buyer experience. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously part of it, right? Knowing, understanding, passing this information along, right? So with that being said, like for our viewers, the more you engage, the more you share, the more we grow, right? Together.
Yes.
See you next time at U plus TFCU podcast.